What's up YouTube, and welcome to this video in which we'll be debating whether Arsenal really are title contenders for next season. Now last season they finished third, 12 points behind leaders Chelsea and 4 points behind second place Manchester City. So can they improve on that this season and go back to being title contenders? The last time Arsenal actually secured the title was back in the 2003-2004 season, and they famously went 9 years without winning a trophy. That's not really acceptable, and if it wasn't Wenger in charge, you'd imagine someone else would have been fired. But Wenger remains at the helm for now, although some fans aren't too happy about that. Nevertheless, he's been building a squad he thinks can challenge for the Premier League. Over the last few years, they've signed the likes of Mesut Ozil, and last season they signed Alexis Sanchez. Sanchez proved to be a great buy, and he quickly settled into London life. He scored 16 Premier League goals in his debut season, which is a fantastic record for a new signing, especially one that's never played in this league before. For Arsenal to win the league next season, or at least challenge for it, they need Sanchez to be in that kind of form again. There's no doubt he's now the star in their team, and he will often dig them out of holes they've buried themselves into. Now, it wouldn't be a transfer window without every player under the sun being linked to Arsenal. Petr Cech has made the swap from South to North London after moving from Chelsea to Arsenal last week. He's a very important signing for Arsenal in a position they have been flimsy on over the last few seasons. They never really placed Jens Lehmann with a quality keeper, but Cech should do that. Although Cech is a good signing, Arsenal will need to make more if they want to challenge next season. They could really do with a world-class centre-back, as Mertesacker and Koscielny sometimes look dodgy. Lots of fans have been calling for a new striker as well. I've always been a big fan of Olivier Giroud. I feel he really works well with the Arsenal kind of play. He knows how to pass the ball, but he also knows how to hold up a ball and allow other players to come into the game, especially the likes of Alexis on the wing. Nevertheless, some fans want a world-class striker, someone like Karim Benzema, to come in and be a real dominating force for the club. If they do sign a striker of that calibre, it would push them well onto their way of becoming contenders. But let's not forget, Giroud was part of the top 6 Premier League scorers last season, so as much criticism as he gets, he still knows how to find the back of the net. And a good goal scorer is vitally important if you want to win the league. For me, if Arsenal are going to challenge, I think they need another strong midfield player. They've never really filled the gap left by Vieira, and they've lost that kind of midfield enforcer in the team. I would make a player like that my top priority if I was Wenger. In terms of midfield, they've got lots of good players. Santi Cazorla registered 11 assists last season, with only Cesc Fabregas getting more. They also have Mesut Ozil. Now on his day, Ozil is very good, but his problem is his consistency. He has been known to go missing in some of the big games, and that could be seen as symbolic of the whole team. One of the main problems of Arsenal over the last season has been their consistency. They can have a great start to the season, but will fall away at Christmas. Or the reverse will happen, and they won't play their best football until Christmas, but by then it's too late to make a charge to the title. They really need to become more consistent and be good across the season rather than just parts of it. Which leads me on to Wenger. In 2016, he will have been at the club for 20 years, and during that time he has won plenty of trophies. 6 FA Cup titles and 3 Premier League crowns show how good of a manager he is, but he gets a lot of stick. The fact they went 9 years without a trophy has been a sore point for most fans, and even Jose Mourinho couldn't resist a jab at that stat. But in the last couple of seasons, they've retained the FA Cup. Now, it's often said the FA Cup isn't what it used to be, and most clubs don't value it as highly as they should, but that's nothing to take away from Arsenal's achievement. It is hard to retain any trophy, and Wenger should be applauded for this. Another criticism of Arsenal is they're lacking a leader, someone who will rally the players when you're losing, to turn that losing result into a winning result. Now, Petr Cech might be able to play that role next season, or they may be able to bring in a strong outfield player who can also play that role. Someone like that is particularly important during the Christmas period, when you play games every 3 days or so. You need a strong captain or player to push the team to that extra level. Now, if we compare Arsenal to the other title contenders, you would say at this moment they have a weaker squad than the likes of Chelsea. Chelsea are well organised and strong throughout, which is the hallmarks of a Jose Mourinho team. This is how they've won the title last season. And while they were reliant on the likes of Eden Hazard, they weren't overly reliant, which is very important. At the moment, Arsenal can be over-reliant on Alexis Sanchez. He's often looked to when the team is in trouble. While on the whole that did work for them last season, you can't rely on that for the majority of a 38-game title charge. While Manchester City don't have such an overall strength as Chelsea do, compared to Arsenal, they have more superstars within their ranks, who they can rely on. The likes of David Silva, Sergio Aguero, Joe Hart, Vincent Kompany are all great players you can rely on. If Arsenal want to be title contenders next season, I feel like they need more players of that ilk. Big game players who you can rely on to get you the result. Finally, I think they need to install a winning mentality. All great champions are born winners, and they desire to win every game. Whether it's against the bottom place in the side or the top place in the side, they put the same level of intensity in. and that is how you win championships. This kind of winning mentality needs to run through the Arsenal squad. Every single player has to desperately want to win the league and put that kind of performance in game after game. The cup competitions you can win in about 8 or 10 games, but for a 38 game season you have to be at your best. If Wenger can get in a couple more good signings and change this attitude around Arsenal, then they are contenders. If he can install the winning mentality and has strong leader-like players within his team, then you have to say they have a chance. It will be interesting to see over the next weeks what activity happens at the club. If they can bring in some good players and develop the squad into a title-winning one, then they do have a chance. So where do you think Arsenal finish? Do you think they can finish first, or is it another 4th place for them? Leave a comment below and make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching. There's no secret they've shown their interest in Raheem Sterling. City seem unwilling to meet Liverpool's 50 million price tag, so why not focus their thoughts elsewhere? But they can sign them, and they have already signed their first player, with Alex Vidal, coming from Sevilla. They are also strongly linked with other players, including Paul Pogba.